Hello and welcome to Hija de mi Padre podcast. My name is Jules. I'm a first generation Latina. And I want to say this is like the millionth time that I'm recording this intro because of all the technical issues. It's been real for your girl here. But more reason that I feel like it's the universe testing to see how committed I am to finally starting this podcast. And I say finally because this is something that's been in the works for over 5 years by now. And I've always come across every excuse not to do it. And right now we're post the Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime show where it's strong chord, you know. I teared up and it was just like enough is enough. I need to stop worrying about the little hitches that I go through in my head, all the excuses, all the reasons why I feel not ready. And I just decided to not care too much about it being perfect, but the fact that I need to just get it started and worry about perfecting the craft later, which I believe a lot of us can resonate with that. So my goals for this podcast is to be about 20 minutes, something light, and it's mainly because I know a lot of people, we always say that we're out of time. We don't have enough time. And the attention span is just getting worse. So, um, like my goal is mainly to empower women, but not only that, but my audience is going to be like I'm gearing towards men struggling with mental health. In general, this should be overall people in general, like anyone having mental health issues, because I'm a huge advocate for awareness, raising awareness, like perpetuating and starting conversations, trying to normalize therapy, which so far I think society has been doing a better job. We just have to keep that momentum going. I've been working blue collar jobs for at least 10 years now, where it's predominantly male dominant industries, where there's just, I want to say, like a 90-10 ratio of men to women. And I'll talk a little bit about that, not give too many details of where, because I'm not sure how those, trademarks and whatnot happens. Like, I don't want to get sued, but I'm pretty sure you could pinpoint what big box company I used to work for. And I was there for 7 years. And then I worked for this other company. And I can't really say too much about that. But for now, the point that I wanted to get to is that I've been at I've seen it. I've seen it firsthand. All the phases that men go to when it comes to like the mental health and how it affects them in every phase of their lives. And as being like a woman in the industry, like it's a challenge of its own, but I've also got to see like firsthand like how desperate men need to have some type of outlet. And it's unfortunate. And I think that's what really drove my passion to wanting to start this podcast, because to me it was very depressing to know that a lot of men feel like they're not being cared enough, as in like nobody cares about the rising statistics of men suffering through depression, committing suicides, all those things. So my hopes is just to mainly talk about themes in therapy, the inner work, like topics about the metaphysical, the spirituality, and how everything ties in. I'll throw in like facts and sprinkle it with a lot of psychology information, because throughout my whole like education, I've been fascinated by psychology, but I never really pursued it because I kind of didn't feel like I was smart enough to be like a therapist. But I've always been very, very fascinated. I've always like kept mental notes of it. And that's not to say that I'm not going to pursue it in the future, because that's something that they'll be in the works. But um, I've done a lot of investing in my own inner work. So my own spiritual journey consists of me like going to therapy, going to counselors, hiring coaches, doing courses, doing retreats, almost all the things, all the spiritual things. Being raised Catholic, but then now I'm very more open to like learning all the religions, just because I believe wholeheartedly that at the center of every religion there is some truth to these stories. These are ancestral knowledge that gets passed down. And just now with the files being released, and it doesn't come to a surprise to a lot of the people in the spiritual community, but I'm glad that the veil has been lifted, and now we're starting to see how religion was created just for controlling the masses. My goal is not to bash you on your beliefs, on your religious affiliations or anything like that. I'm not trying to sell you on anything. This is just me trying to come to you in a humble, neutral state where I'm just laying out all the groundwork for you to make your own decisions. Just to expand your mind and just have that person to guide you into your own healing journey. Because who I was 10 years ago, like the person that I was 10 years ago would have appreciated or would have needed the information, the guidance that I have now. And unfortunately, it took a long time for me to like gather everything, all these tools, all these skills on my own. And in this country where health care is very like it has to be profitable or otherwise it's not a priority. And it's disappointing. Like, of course, there's like these are the repercussions. And men are seeing like firsthand what happens when therapy is not being prioritized. So yeah, I'm not perfect, as you can see. I don't have a sharp tongue. I'm not super articulate. I'm doing my best here, and that was part of the reason why I hesitated a lot on starting, because I really didn't feel like why would someone listen to me? I'm not, I don't have that radio radio station personality. Like I still stumble on my words. It's just like get flustered here and there, but it's mainly because I have so much like information, like think of a desktop with a bunch of files, and like there's just so much going on, and then I tend to jump between topics and just go on a tangent here and there. And for those that know, like I'm allergic to small talk, because all that like that the concept of small talk just like gives me social anxiety. Just creating small conversations just for the sake of filling in that space kind of drives me crazy. But talk to me about aliens and mermaids and all that. Oh yeah, all day. So if that sounds like something you're into, where you are someone that doesn't mind a little swearing here and there, but overall someone that's really raw and organic, because that's the overall energy that I want to convey in this. I wanted to feel like I'm sitting next to you and we're drinking coffee and just talking about life in general. I want you to feel comfortable to when I'm sharing my story, is because I want you to understand that I've gone through a lot that maybe can help you in your own day to day. And it's more to just not only just to vent and to just really solidify my own healing journey, but it's to have you understand that I'm trying to be as organic as possible. And again, a lot of my imperfections is going to prove that to you, that I'm just here to share my story, share my lessons, because as far as we know, a lot of white people have benefited a lot from ancient teachings passed down, ancestral knowledge. And it's great. It's amazing that white women as well, that they're, making careers out of this. But I think now more than ever, with the state of this country is in, we need more colored people speaking up, taking up space, talking about their struggles, because we're still in this world where we're not seen as equals. There's white supremacy and ignorance above all. And again, I'm not trying to bash anybody. I'm not trying to restrict anybody. I'm just trying to be another brown voice out here to educate the masses, because it's unfortunate that all these themes, all this therapy work is really limited to whoever can afford it. Like, all the money that I spent on investing in myself, it's definitely worth it. And not many people have that privilege. So again, I'm not a professional. This is for educational, entertainment purposes. And I'm nowhere near perfect. My life's not perfect, but I want to share what I've learned so far, so I could at least help the people that are, 10 steps behind me to catch up. Because in this world where people go to church, preach about the 7 deadly sins and how bad it is, and yet we're witnessing firsthand what happens with corporate greed when we don't value earth, when pretty much we just lost a lot of our humanity because of everything that's going on, that we're just numbed out, and the food is poison, the air is toxic, and the water is tainted. And it's because we're letting things get out of hand. And my personal theory is because we're not doing things to study about ourselves. We're not investing in ourselves. We go to specialists to go for dental work, for optometrists, but where do we go when we feel stuck in life? When we're quote unquote doing what we're supposed to do, climbing the corporate ladder, but why are a lot of people unhappy? And I believe a lot of it's because we're not doing things that are fulfilling our soul. Because a bunch of us can't even define what is a soul, and not trying to get too bias on one religion or another, but that only takes us to a certain extent without, getting into the cult type of behaviors. Because I think in the heart of everything, there needs to be a study of ourselves, the beyond, the metaphysical, the spiritual. So I will be, again, disclaimer, I will be swearing here and there. I will not pull back. I will say it as it is. I will talk about the metaphysical as far as just educational purposes, just to get you as in a stepping stone to understand the higher up levels of, paths of enlightenment and shadow work and all those really heavy themes that may seem very overwhelming for those that have not don't understand, but yet they want to. So I'll be that person that I'm just trying to break these topics down, mince them up to where it's very digestible, where it's easier to understand, or at least gets the conversation going for you. and inspires you to do your own research and like at least gives you a direction to go to. Because what works for one person for therapy, it might not work for everybody. And I think that's where the negative connotation for men going to therapy comes from, because we all believe it's sitting in this really cold room, empty room with a stranger, and that may seem very daunting to a lot of people, and understandably so. But therapy doesn't always consist of that. So my goal is to womansplain all these topics to get you more comfortable, for you to make your own decisions, to make your own choices, and trying to be more into your own self. So, again, my name is Jules. I'll be happy to be your guide. And I would like for you to see me as that kooky auntie, or whoever you may whatever that might resonate for you. That just you feel comfortable talking about anything and everything. And I'm happy to have you here.